In the year 2347, humanity had finally reached the stars. For centuries, people dreamed of exploring the galaxy, but the reality was far more complicated than anyone imagined. Earth's ships traveled across light years, discovering new worlds and meeting strange alien races. Yet, instead of being welcomed, humans found themselves unwelcome almost everywhere they went. The other civilizations, the insect-like Zorathians, the shimmering Lumina, and many others, had closed their borders long ago. They saw humans as too young, too reckless, and too dangerous to trust. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of his ship, the Odyssey *, staring out at the endless expanse of space. He was a tall man with sharp features and calm eyes that hid years of hard decisions. His crew trusted him, even though their missions often felt thankless. Humanity's attempts to make friends among the stars had failed time and again. No matter how polite or careful they were, the answer was always the same: stay away. But today was different. A strange message had come through Earth's communication network. It was faint, broken, and barely understandable, but it carried one word repeated over and over: help. The signal seemed to come from deep within an area called the Veil Expanse, a region of space no one dared enter. Ships that ventured there rarely returned, and those that did spoke of strange energy storms and ghostly echoes. Daniel turned to his first officer, Lieutenant Rachel Monroe. She was seated at her station, her blonde hair tied neatly behind her head. Her green eyes flickered between screens as she analyzed the data. "What do we know about this signal?" he asked. "Not much," Rachel replied. "It's not coming from any known species. Could be a trap, or it could be real. Either way, it's beyond our usual patrol zone." Chief Engineer James Carter chimed in from his corner of the bridge. He was a broad-shouldered man with dark skin and a quick smile. "Going there is a bad idea, Captain," he said. "The Veil Expanse eats ships for breakfast. If we go in, we might not come out." Daniel nodded slowly. He knew the risks, but something about the message gnawed at him. Humans weren't invited anywhere in the galaxy. This was their chance to prove they belonged, to show they were willing to help, even when it wasn't easy. "We can't ignore it," he said firmly. "If someone out there needs us, we have to try." Rachel sighed but didn't argue. She respected Daniel's sense of duty, even if it sometimes led them into trouble. "All right, Captain. I'll plot a course. But don't blame me if we end up floating in pieces." The journey to the Veil Expanse took 2 days. As they approached, the crew grew uneasy. Strange lights danced outside the windows, and instruments began to malfunction. The ship shuddered as it passed through invisible energy fields. James cursed under his breath as he worked to keep the engine stable. Finally, they reached the source of the signal. It came from an old, abandoned station orbiting a dying star. Its metal surface was pockmarked with scars, and its once bright lights now flickered weakly. Daniel ordered a landing party to investigate. Alongside him were Rachel, James, and a few security officers. Inside the station, the air was cold and stale. Dust covered every surface, and the walls were covered in strange symbols written in multiple alien languages. One phrase stood out, scrawled repeatedly in bold strokes: "They are coming." Before they could explore further, alarms blared. Shadowy drones descended from the ceiling, their glowing red eyes locking onto the intruders. "We need to get out of here," Rachel shouted, pulling out her weapon. James acted quickly, rerouting power from the station's core to create an electromagnetic pulse. The drones froze mid-attack, giving the team just enough time to escape. Back on the Odyssey *, Daniel stared at the readings from the station. Whatever was happening, it was bigger than anyone realized. And somehow, humanity was now caught in the middle of it. The Odyssey * limped back to a human outpost on the edge of known space. The ship was battered, its systems barely holding together after the chase through the Veil Expanse. Captain Daniel Hayes stood in the command center of the outpost, staring at the holographic map floating above the table. The map showed the location of the derelict station, the alien ships, and the mysterious energy fields of the Veil. But it also showed something else: clusters of attacks happening across the galaxy. Lieutenant Rachel Monroe entered the room, carrying a data tablet. Her face was pale, and dark circles hung under her eyes from lack of sleep. "We've analyzed the symbols from the station," she said, placing the tablet on the table. "They mention an empire called the Caliph Dominion. Ever heard of them?" Daniel shook his head. "No, and I'm guessing they're not exactly friendly." Rachel tapped the screen, pulling up more information. "Apparently, they're ancient, really ancient. Some species call them the Shadow Empire. They ruled huge parts of the galaxy thousands of years ago, but disappeared suddenly. Now it looks like they're back, and they're attacking anyone who gets in their way." James Carter joined them, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. "Great, just what we need. An army of ghosts with grudges." Dr. Emily Dawson walked in next, her expression serious. "It's worse than that," she said. "From what we've pieced together, the Caliph don't just want territory. They're wiping out entire species. Whole planets have gone silent in the last few weeks. Whoever wrote those messages on the station was trying to warn everyone." Daniel clenched his fists. "And no one's doing anything about it." Emily hesitated. "Not really. The other empires, the Zorethians, the Lumina, all of them, they've closed their borders. They think if they stay quiet, the Caliph will leave them alone." Rachel snorted. "That's not going to work. If the Caliph are as bad as they seem, hiding won't stop them." Daniel nodded. "Then we'll make them listen. Humanity might not be welcome out here, but we can't sit back while the galaxy burns. We'll go to them, show them the truth, and convince them to fight back." The plan was risky, but there was no other choice. The Odyssey set course for the nearest empire, the Arcturian Collective. The Arcturians were tall, graceful beings with shimmering silver skin and a reputation for being proud and aloof. They had ignored humanity's attempts at contact before, but Daniel hoped this time would be different. When the Odyssey arrived at the Arcturian homeworld, the crew was met with icy silence. The Arcturians refused to meet with them at first, dismissing their warnings as fear-mongering. But Daniel didn't give up. He transmitted the data they had recovered from the station, showing evidence of the Caliph attacks and the destruction they left behind. Finally, the Arcturian leaders agreed to hear him out, but only if humanity proved its worth. A nearby Arcturian colony was under siege by Caliph forces, and the Arcturians demanded that the Odyssey help defend it. Daniel accepted without hesitation. The battle was fierce. Caliph warships swarmed the colony, their weapons tearing through defenses. Rachel led a daring assault on the enemy flagship, using the Odyssey's agility to outmaneuver the larger ships. James worked tirelessly in engineering, rerouting power to keep the shields up even as they took heavy fire. In the end, it was teamwork that turned the tide. The humans fought alongside the Arcturians, combining their strengths to drive the Caliph away. When the battle was over, the Arcturian commander, a stern woman named Farah, approached Daniel. "You have earned our respect," she said, her voice cold but tinged with admiration. "But this is only the beginning. If you wish to unite the galaxy, you must prove yourselves again and again." Daniel nodded, knowing the road ahead would be long. But as he looked at his crew, battered but unbroken, he felt a flicker of hope. If humanity could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Arcturians, maybe they could do the same with others. One step at a time, they would build an alliance strong enough to face the Caliph. For now, though, they had taken the first step, and that was enough. Word of the Odyssey's victory spread quickly, even among species that had once ignored humanity. The Zorethians, a hive-minded insectoid race, were one of the first to reach out. Their colonies had been devastated by Caliph attacks, and they were desperate for help. Though wary of humans, they agreed to meet with Captain Daniel Hayes and his crew. The Zorathian ambassador, a towering creature with Chidna's armor and glowing green eyes, spoke through a translator device. "Your actions have shown courage," it said in a raspy voice. "But courage alone will not stop the Caliph. They are relentless. They consume everything." Daniel nodded. "We know. That's why we're asking for your help. Together, we can push back against them." The ambassador hesitated, antennae twitching as it processed the request. Finally, it spoke again. "Very well. We will join you, but only if you prove yourselves worthy. One of our queens is trapped on a world under Caliph control. If you rescue her, we will fight alongside you." The mission was dangerous, but Daniel didn't hesitate. He gathered his crew and prepared for the operation. Lieutenant Rachel Monroe led the ground team, while James Carter stayed aboard the Odyssey to coordinate support. Dr. Emily Dawson accompanied the team, hoping to learn more about the Zorathians during the mission. The planet was a nightmare. Its skies were choked with ash, and its surface was crawling with Caliph drones. The team moved cautiously, using the ruins of an old city for cover. They found the Queen in a heavily guarded facility, her massive form suspended in a containment field. "Get her out of there," Rachel whispered into her communicator. "We'll hold them off." The battle was chaotic. Caliph warriors poured into the facility, their weapons firing bursts of searing energy. Rachel and her team fought fiercely, their movements precise and coordinated. Emily worked quickly to disable the containment field, her hands trembling as she bypassed alien technology. Finally, the field collapsed, and the Queen stirred. Her mandibles clicked angrily as she rose to her full height. With a deafening roar, she charged into the fray, scattering the Caliph forces like leaves in a storm. The team retreated to the extraction point, hearts pounding as the Odyssey descended to pick them up. Back aboard the ship, the Zorathian ambassador greeted them with gratitude, or as close to gratitude as a Zorathian could express. "You have earned our trust," it said. "We will stand with you." As the alliance grew, so did the challenges. The crystalline lumina, known for their reclusive nature, revealed secrets hidden in their archives. Among these was information about ancient weapons capable of harming the Caliph. James worked tirelessly to adapt the designs for human use, knowing they might tip the balance in future battles. Tensions arose within the coalition, however. Some species doubted humanity's motives, accusing them of seeking power rather than unity. Emily worked hard to bridge these divides, often risking her life to mediate disputes. Her calm demeanor and genuine care for others earned her respect across species. She became known as the Bridge Keeper, a symbol of hope in turbulent times. Even the Vorlek, a solitary warrior race, joined the cause after witnessing Daniel's leadership firsthand. During a daring raid on a Caliph supply depot, Daniel personally saved a young Vorlak warrior from certain death. The act forged an unspoken bond between the two races. Despite the growing alliance, Daniel knew the road ahead would be difficult. The Caliph were vast and powerful, and their true strength remained unknown. But every new ally brought hope, not just for humanity, but for all life in the galaxy. As the Odyssey traveled from one corner of the galaxy to another, Daniel felt a sense of purpose he hadn't known before. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something greater. For the first time, they weren't alone, and that made all the difference. The galaxy was on edge. The Caliph Dominion's attacks had grown bolder, striking deeper into inhabited space with terrifying speed. Despite the growing alliance, fear lingered in every corner of the coalition. Some species argued that humanity's involvement only made things worse, while others whispered about betrayal and hidden agendas. Captain Daniel Hayes knew the fragile unity they had built could shatter at any moment. Lieutenant Rachel Monroe stood beside him on the bridge of the Odyssey, her arms crossed as she studied the holographic map of the Caliph territory. "If we don't hit them soon," she said quietly, "they'll keep coming. They won't stop until there's nothing left." Daniel nodded. He had been thinking the same thing. The Caliph were relentless, their armies spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. Every delay gave them more time to destroy. But attacking their homeworld, a fortress planet surrounded by heavily armed fleets, was a gamble. If they failed, the alliance would crumble, and humanity would be cast out once again. James Carter entered the bridge, wiping oil from his hands. "I've finished upgrading the weapons," he said. "We can punch through their shields now, but it'll take everything we've got. And I mean everything. Dr. Emily Dawson joined them, holding a data tablet. Her face was pale, dark circles underlining her fatigue. "There's something else," she said. "The Lumina shared intel about the Caliph command structure. Their leader, the one they call Vorthek, is calling all the shots. If we can neutralize him, their forces might fall apart." Daniel's jaw tightened. It was a risky plan, but it was their best shot. "All right," he said. "Here's what we'll do. We split into 2 teams. One will disable their defenses from inside their command center. The other will lead the fleet in a full-scale assault. Once the defenses are down, we strike." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "And who gets to go inside? Because I'm guessing that's not going to be a walk in the park." "You're right," Daniel replied. "It won't be. That's why I'm leading the infiltration team. You'll stay here and coordinate the fleet." Rachel opened her mouth to protest, but Daniel cut her off. "I need you out there, Rachel. The fleet depends on you. Trust me, I'll get the job done." The mission began under the cover of darkness. The Odyssey and the Allied fleet cloaked themselves using Lumina technology, slipping past Caliph patrols undetected. Daniel led the infiltration team alongside James and Emily. They boarded a small shuttle and headed for the Caliph command center, a towering spire bristling with weapons and guards. Inside, the air was thick with tension. The corridors were lined with Caliph warriors, their glowing red eyes scanning for intruders. The team moved silently, avoiding detection as they made their way to the core. Emily worked quickly to hack into the system, her fingers flying over the controls. "Almost there," she whispered, sweat dripping down her face. Suddenly, alarms blared. A patrol had discovered them. James grabbed a fallen Caliph weapon and fired back, shouting, "Keep going. I'll hold them off." Daniel hesitated, torn between staying with his friend and completing the mission. But Emily pulled him forward. "He's buying us time," she said. "We have to finish this." They reached the central chamber just as the fleet launched its attack outside. Through the windows, they could see explosions lighting up the sky. Daniel spotted Vorthek, a massive figure clad in black armor, and confronted him. The duel was fierce, each blow shaking the room. Finally, Daniel landed a decisive strike, disabling the Caliph leader. Back outside, Rachel led the fleet to victory. The Caliph forces fell into disarray without Vorthek's guidance. As the smoke cleared, the survivors of the coalition looked to the humans with newfound respect. For the first time, humanity wasn't seen as outsiders. They were allies and heroes. After escaping the derelict station, the crew of the Odyssey gathered in the ship's briefing room. Captain Daniel Hayes stood at the head of the table, his face tense as he reviewed the data they had recovered. The symbols and messages scrawled on the walls were still a mystery, but one thing was clear. Something catastrophic had happened there. And whatever it wasn't over yet. Lieutenant Rachel Monroe adjusted her seat, her fingers tapping nervously on the table. "Those drones weren't just random junk," she said. "They were advanced, too advanced for that old station. Someone sent them to guard it." James Carter leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "Or to stop anyone from finding out what's really going on," he added. That place was a graveyard, plain and simple. Whoever was running it didn't want visitors. Daniel nodded slowly. "We need to figure out what those messages mean. They are coming. Who's coming? And why?" Dr. Emily Dawson, the ship's xenobiologist, spoke up. She was a soft-spoken woman with short brown hair and a sharp mind. The writing is in multiple languages, she said. Not just one species. It's like whoever wrote it wanted every race to understand. That tells me this isn't about one empire or one planet. It's bigger than that. As the discussion continued, the ship's sensors picked up movement nearby. A fleet of ships emerged from the shadows of the dying star, their shapes jagged and menacing. They were unlike anything the crew had seen before. Dark, angular vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Captain, we've got trouble," Rachel called from the bridge. Her voice was steady, but there was an edge of urgency. "These ships are moving fast, and they're heading straight for us." Daniel rushed to the bridge, his heart pounding. On the main screen, the alien ships loomed larger with each passing second. Their weapons charged, glowing with an eerie blue energy. "Hail them," Daniel ordered. "Let's see if they'll talk." But there was no response. Instead, the lead ship fired a warning shot, narrowly missing the Odyssey *. James cursed under his breath as he worked to boost the ship's shields. "They're not here to chat," he muttered. Daniel made a quick decision. "Prepare to retreat," he said. "We can't fight them. Not yet. We need answers first." The Odyssey * turned away, its engines roaring as it accelerated into the Veil expanse. The alien ships gave chase, their movements precise and relentless. Energy blasts streaked past the hull, shaking the ship violently. Alarms blared as the crew scrambled to keep everything running. Back in engineering, James fought to stabilize the power flow. The Veil's unpredictable energy fields were wreaking havoc on the ship's systems. "If we don't get out of here soon, we're toast," he shouted over the noise. Rachel worked frantically at her station, plotting a course through the chaos. "There's a gap in the energy field ahead," she said. "If we time it right, we can slip through and lose them." Daniel gripped the armrests of his chair, his knuckles white. "Do it," he said. "Now." The Odyssey * surged forward, weaving through bursts of radiation and swirling clouds of debris. Behind them, the alien ships faltered as they hit the edge of the energy field. One by one, they fell back, unable to follow. Finally, the Odyssey * broke free, leaving the Veil expanse behind. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, though the tension remained thick in the air. They had escaped, for now, but the questions lingered. Who were those ships? What did they want? And what had the station been hiding? In the quiet moments that followed, Daniel stared out at the stars. He knew they couldn't ignore what they'd found. The galaxy was dangerous, and humanity was still learning how to survive in it. But deep down, he felt a spark of determination. If humans were to earn their place among the stars, they would have to face challenges like this and win. For now, though, the Odyssey * needed repairs, and its crew needed rest. Whatever was coming, they would be ready. The victory over the Caliph forces was a turning point, but it came at a cost. The Odyssey * limped back to the Allied fleet, its hull scared and systems barely holding together. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge, his face pale with exhaustion. Around him, the crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage, their movements slow but determined. Though they had won the battle, the war was far from over. James Carter slumped in his chair in engineering, his hands blackened with grease. "That was too close," he muttered. "If we'd been even a second slower, we'd all be space dust." Rachel Monroe leaned against the wall, her arms crossed. Her sharp green eyes scanned the reports coming in from the fleet. "The Caliph are retreating for now," she said, "but they'll regroup. We hit them hard, but not hard enough to stop them forever." Dr. Emily Dawson sat quietly in a corner, her data tablet glowing faintly in the dim light. She had seen things during the mission that haunted her. Images of destruction, of lives lost. But she also saw hope. The Alliance was stronger now, united by shared sacrifice. "We've shown them we can fight together," she said softly. That's something they'll remember. Daniel nodded, though his mind was heavy with thoughts of what lay ahead. Vorthek's defeat had dealt a blow to the Caliph, but their empire was vast. They still controlled countless worlds, and their fleets were scattered across the galaxy. Humanity and its allies would need every advantage they could get. The coalition gathered for a meeting aboard the largest Zorathian ship, a massive vessel shaped like a hive. Representatives from each species attended, their faces tense but resolute. Daniel stepped forward to address them, his voice steady despite his fatigue. "We've proven we can stand together," he began. "But this isn't just about survival. It's about protecting everything we hold dear. If we push now, while the Caliph are weak, we can end this." The Arcturian leader, Vera, spoke first. "Your words are bold, human. But boldness alone will not win this war. What is your plan?" Daniel explained their strategy, a final assault on the Caliph homeworld. It was heavily fortified, but with the combined strength of the Alliance, they could break through. The Lumina offered their cloaking technology to mask the fleet's approach, while the Zorathians promised reinforcements. Even the Vorlak pledged their warriors, their loyalty to humanity unwavering. As the meeting ended, Emily approached Daniel. "You're asking a lot from them," she said. "Some of these species have never trusted each other before. This is uncharted territory for everyone." "I know," Daniel replied. "But if we don't take this chance, we might not get another one." Preparations for the attack took weeks. The Odyssey and the Allied fleet gathered at the edge of Caliph space, their ships bristling with weapons and determination. The journey into enemy territory was tense, every sensor scanning for ambushes. Thanks to the Lumina cloaks, they slipped past Caliph patrols undetected. When they reached the homeworld, the sight was overwhelming. The planet was surrounded by layers of defenses, ships, drones, and energy fields. Rachel coordinated the fleet's movements, her voice calm but firm. "All units, prepare for engagement. On my mark." The battle was chaos. Explosions lit up the sky as the fleet clashed with the Caliph forces. James worked tirelessly in engineering, keeping the Odyssey systems running despite the strain. "Hold together, girl," he muttered to the ship. "Just a little longer." Meanwhile, Daniel led a strike team onto the surface of the homeworld. Their goal was to destroy the central power core, crippling the planet's defenses. The mission was perilous, every step fraught with danger. But they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that failure wasn't an option. Finally, they reached the core. Emily worked quickly to disable it, her hands trembling as she entered the final commands. "It's done," she said, her voice breaking with relief. Back in orbit, the Allied fleet launched its final assault. Without their defenses, the Caliph homeworld fell. The war was over. As the dust settled, the galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors. And though the scars of the war would linger, the bonds forged in fire would endure. The Caliph dominion was no more. Its homeworld lay in ruins, its once mighty fleets scattered and broken. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear for years began to emerge from hiding. For the first time in decades, there was peace, or at least the promise of it. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, staring out at the stars. The ship was quiet now, its crew resting after weeks of relentless fighting. Though the war was over, the weight of everything they had been through lingered. He thought about the lives lost, the sacrifices made, not just by humans, but by all the species that had joined the fight. Lieutenant Rachel Monroe entered the bridge, her boots clicking softly against the floor. She handed him a datapad with the latest reports. "The cleanup's going to take years," she said. "Rebuilding colonies, helping refugees. It's a mess out there." Daniel nodded. "But it's worth it. We didn't fight just to win. We fought so others could live without fear." James Carter appeared next, his usual confident grin replaced by a look of quiet pride. "You know, "I never thought I'd see the day when humans were part of something like this," he said. "Not just surviving, but leading, making a difference." Dr. Emily Dawson joined them, her eyes bright despite her exhaustion. "It wasn't just us," she reminded them gently. "Every species played a part. Without the Arcturians, the Zorithians, the Lumina, all of them, we wouldn't have made it." Daniel smiled faintly. "You're right. But humanity earned their trust. That's something we can be proud of." Back on Earth, news of the victory spread quickly. Cities lit up with celebrations, and people gathered in streets and squares to honor those who had fought. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars. Now, they weren't just visitors. They were part of something greater. A coalition built not on conquest, but on shared struggle and hope. Still, Daniel knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The scars of the war ran deep, and old prejudices wouldn't disappear overnight. Some species still viewed humans with suspicion, while others resented the cost of the alliance. But even as challenges remained, the foundation had been laid. Trust, once broken, could be rebuilt. Unity, once shattered, could be restored. As the Odyssey returned to Earth, Daniel stepped onto the deck and looked out at the blue-green planet spinning below. It was small compared to the vastness of space, yet it carried so much meaning. Humanity had started here, fragile and uncertain, but now it reached far beyond its borders. Rachel walked up beside him, her arms crossed against the cool breeze. "What happens now?" she asked. Daniel shrugged. "We keep going. There's always more to do, more worlds to explore, more people to help. The galaxy's a big place, and we've only scratched the surface." Emily approached them, holding a small flower she had picked from the ship's greenhouse. "You know," she said, "sometimes I think about how different things could have been if we hadn't tried. If we'd given up back when everyone turned their backs on us." Daniel took the flower from her and held it up to the light. "Then none of this would have happened. But we didn't give up. And because of that, we proved something important, not just to them, but to ourselves." The crew of the Odyssey stood together in silence, watching Earth grow larger as the ship descended. They had faced unimaginable odds and emerged stronger. Humanity wasn't perfect, but they had shown courage, determination, and compassion. And in doing so, they had earned their place among the stars. For now, the galaxy was at peace. But Daniel knew one thing for certain. Wherever trouble arose, humanity would be ready to stand and fight for what was right.